physical practice is not only the key word. The practice is mentally, psychosomatically you have to be in music. So it might be 20 hours, it might be 18 hours, even sometimes in your sleep that should be roaming around here. So this is very important for sustainability, and as long as you grow, definitely this will give you the newer paths to achieve.
You may not have content, you may not have practiced, you may not have learnt, yet you can be successful. The only difference between those who have content and those who have practiced, and all of that comes with that headspace, is that if you have content, you have longevity. Your career is longer. You are relevant literally all your life. Because you will find many artists come and go like flashes in the pan. They also have their moment of fame in the sun. But if they do not have content, I have seen as a study that I've done over the years that if there is content, the chances are that you will have a very long career. But if there is a lack of content, lack of practice, lack of learning, then normally you see that the careers are short-lived. Mr. Bose,
You can name him in full.
Mr.
Pandit
Tanmay Bose
Bose.
he leads a rack pack of really bad people.
Do you believe that nothing is impossible? If you do, you are on the right show. Welcome to I Am Possible. You feel so blessed to be born to a family in which not only the father, the mother, but also the people around you are the best in the field. You are so lucky. I feel so blessed to be born in such a family. Our guests today are probably two of my closest people on this planet. My father, Pandit Tejendra Narayan Majumdar, and my uncle, I'm so proud to call him my uncle, Pandit Bickram Ghosh. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Kaka, for coming to I Am Possible.
Absolute pleasure to be here. And it's in a sense life coming full circle, because we have seen you being born and now you're interviewing us. It's a bit of a reminder of our age, but we shall swallow that and continue with the interview, because Tejendra and I go back so far that we have no memory of how far back it is.
It is like more than 40 years, right?
Yes, and I have a vivid memory of his marriage. And I'm sorry you weren't invited.
I've missed it so badly. So can you tell me, how did you guys both meet? As far as I know, Shankar Jetu, Pandit Shankar Ghosh, one of the finest and one of the most legendary tabla maestros of all times, and who happened to be Bickram Kaka's father. And so how did you meet?
Well, I saw him coming in slow-mo, you know.
Yeah, actually it is very difficult to say exactly which year, but definitely it should be in the initial part of 80s, 81, 82, something like that. And as everybody knows that Pandit Shankar Ghosh was the kind of legends whom are very much respected and regarded as the one of the very finest musicians who used to inspire the next generation musicians. So somehow I got in touch with him because he came to know about me through my radio programs or the other music cycle programs, and somebody told that he was inquiring about you, and then naturally I was very much curious to meet him. So that's how, as he was the main accompanist of my both Ustads, Ustad Bahadur Khan Sahab and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab. And probably a lot of people might know that he also learned Sarod from Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab. So that's how actually the first meeting happened, and that time Bickram was a little kid. But it doesn't make that he's very, very younger to me.
If it's confession time, you can go ahead.
No, actually Bickram, that time I used to see that Bickram was, associated with music, and he started playing, and gradually we became friends. And several occasions actually I used to go to their house at that Kabir Road house, and then I used to play with his father. he used to come, and then we started playing together. And many occasions that happened that Shankarda came and he instructed, you play like this, you play like that. And also, I still remember the first ever concert in 1984. We played at St. Xavier's College, and one composition he had composed, Kirwani, and still now we keep playing that. In fact, we have one CD with that live recording. So that's how it started, and it is very difficult to analyze the friendship chemistry from that time. We had several concerts, and Shankarda also used to take us for different kind of concerts in the suburbs of the city and different.
Those days, Baba used to organize many concerts. He had an interesting philosophy. I thought it was very entrepreneurial. He thought that artists should do tours in Mufassil areas as well. In suburban areas, because there was a huge market. There still is today. We recently played places like Durgapur, Siliguri, etc. And Baba was organizing those tours. And he was organizing those tours where he himself was playing, either playing a tabla solo or accompanying. And at least 2 or 3 young musicians those days, like him or others, Kushalda and others were also there. So he used to be like an entrepreneur, and he used to organize these tours, and many of them, and there used to be thousands of people. So that is a phase where I think he was coming close to the younger lot, because he was taking them on board and touring with them. And Tejendra was a particular favorite, obviously because of the quality of music he was playing. At a very young age, he was brilliant, but also because Baba had a special fondness for him, because his laya was very good, and he had a special talent there. So when Baba was playing with him, he enjoyed playing with him because he could do intricacies, and he was, competent enough to reciprocate that whole modus, So that's where it kind of began. Through the process, as is coming out through the story, I was a completely secondary guy. Like you said, you were born into the family and, all of that. So I was born into the family, and so I was lucky, So he was coming to be my dad, and then I kind of,
Capture him. And kidnap him for life.
In fact, before he started playing with me, Shankarda had played several concerts, and one of the very major concerts, I think I am the only artist of that generation who had played one of the festivals like Park Circus Music Conference.
One of the most revered
classical
music festivals.
Like Sadarang and Tansen and Park Circus Music Conference. And I had received so many very, very valuable advices. Like whatever, still I remember that when in one concert he was playing with me, and after the concert, he just told that don't hurry. You have to be very confident about the sound, and secondly, your instrument has to be in tune. And then you start. Never mind whether you have got 50 minutes or 1 hour or 45 minutes. So those are the lessons still I keep remembering, and I still try to preach the students.
He told you not to start the performance without tuning your instrument properly, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a very important learning.
Yeah. And also to tune it, if required, in the middle of the concert without hurrying. Stop the music, tune it first, and then go ahead. So basically what he was trying to say is that don't be insecure about your audience. The audience will wait. But be sure that what you're delivering to your audience is the best your instrument and you can deliver.
In fact, I still remember one story, Bickram. In Jalpaiguri, we had a concert. And that time I was like 24, 25 years old. And when I was playing Alaap, a lot of people started whispering. And immediately he stopped me and took the microphone, and he told that he is playing such a great Alaap, and why are you spoiling this? Either you have to listen or you just get lost. So he didn't bother. So that was Pandit Shankar Ghosh, and that's how actually we have been brought up. And when Bickram started playing with me, he was then absolutely trying to imbibe his father's things. But after some time, then that I will say in later part of my interview, in my speech, everywhere I have told that how he has imbibed a lot of things and how he has become Maestro Bickram Ghosh.
So that kind of happened the same with you too, when you were trained initially by your grandfather Sri Bibhuti Ranjan Majumdar, then your father Sri Ranjan Majumdar, my grandfather. Following that, you were trained and you were accepted by the legendary Sarod Maestro Ustad Bahadur Khan Saab, followed by Sri Ajay Sinha Roy, because you happened to be trained under Sri Ajay Sinha Roy when Ustad Bahadur Khan Saab passed away, unfortunately and untimely. And then after that, you were accepted by Swar Samrat Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Saab. But throughout your journey, we could hear from the recordings, because I was not there back then, that your playing, your thought process or your musical psyche has changed gradually. And your presentation initially is very different from what you present now. Like after Swar Samrat Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Saab passed away, the entire, you evolving as a musician to this stature right now is very different from how you had started back then. And I can find the same with you too. Like when you were in the initial years, when you were trained by Shankar Jetu, and later on, after you have actually evolved yourself as a musician way too much, and for the good. I want you to focus on those lines in which we can understand that how important it is to evolve as musicians.
See, where I'm concerned, I will speak for myself and let him speak for himself, so that there is complete clarity. My journey has been very, very unique, and I take no credit for it. I think it's been unique because I was lucky. Just like you said that you were born into the family. I mean, that's luck. I was very lucky, and I had certain things, certain kind of points of time in life which were underlined by certain incidents, which were very important. So my father was, as you know, settled in the Ali Akbar College in America. Mother, father, me, all three of us were living there. Around the time that I was 5 years old, my father one day said, apparently he said to my mother, that we must go home now. We must go back to India. And she was shocked. She said, why? Because we had a great life. I mean, the early 70s in California, you have a house, you have a car, you have a beautiful, San Rafael area, Bay Area. I mean, it's a great life. There was 24-hour television. I was, apparently my father told my mother that we have to go back now because my son is calling me dad. That was corroborated by one of my father's very close students, Annie, who many years later said to me through an email that, do you know that this is what happened? So I actually believed it when Annie said it, because I thought maybe these were stories, so much is an oral tradition and things just kind of move around, But she said, this is exactly what happened. He said, he's calling me dad. He's never going to play tabla. So they came back to India. And coming back to India was a culture shock for me, because I was used to a certain life there. I was used to, my breakfast was used to be cornflakes, and used to get a little gift inside the box and stuff like that. And I was watching Sesame Street. I was watching Speed Racer on 24-hour television.
You were like 6 years.
I was less than that. I was 4. We came back when I was 5.5. So I came back and I was in culture shock for years. Complete culture shock. I could not speak Bangla. I was talking in English, and I was being, people are not kind. They say,
Back then it was so different.
Yeah. And in Bangla, I was called a tash,
Oh.
But gradually things changed. Luck. The house we lived in, where I was born in Rajbihari Avenue, next to that house, adjacent, and the windows was like really near each other, was the chief engineer of Kolkata Corporation's house. That elderly gentleman and his wife took a fancy to me. I was a little kid, standing in the balcony, and they literally made me their grandson. And they told me, and I haven't said this ever before, in any interview, left to my father's devices, I think he wouldn't have really bothered which school I went to. All he was interested in is that I play tabla. This gentleman said, Amar Nati, Kolkata's best school e jabe. My grandson will go to the best school. He saw to it that I went to La Martine for boys. It's a game changer in my life, If I hadn't gone there, then I wouldn't have studied literature. I wouldn't have been, that whole side I wouldn't have understood script in cinema, blah, blah, blah. So many things opened up. So then I went to La Martine. Studying in La Martine, there was no Indian classical music. Zero. And those days, even less, We had a band in school called the Satellites. I was all of 11 or 12. I was the conga player there. And I had ambitions of being Daku Potato. O.C. Bisa's famous bald-headed guy. And that time, they had come to Calcutta. There was a huge furor. My father was very upset that, I was doing all of this. And he thought I wasn't practicing tabla and doing this. So there was a struggle there. But imagine a little boy in school playing Rolling Stones, Bee Gees, Beatles. And then after school at 1:20, the school used to give over, and I used to walk to Balu Haqqaq Lane, where my mother was learning from Munawwar Ali Khan Sahab, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab's son. She was learning vocal there. So I would go in school uniform, enter, go up the steps, and there was Kinare Kinare and all of this, lovely Patiala bandishes being taught. The great Shunda Mukhopadhyay, Pandit Rajesh Chakravarti, they were all learning there. I would enter the room and Asab would say, "Arey beta aa gaya, aaja theka." So just the juxtaposition of it all, Rolling Stones in the morning, and by the afternoon I'm there playing theka, with I think that is what eventually prompted the fusion music career and all of that. So I have certain landmarks in my life and certain incidents which I had no control over. But those incidents made me who I am. And for good or for worse, but this is what happened and how it transpired. Amidst all of this, much later, late school was the advent of this chess.
Oh.
Over to you.
And coming to that, so Baba, what's...
No, as you know that in my family, music was there, but my father he actually wanted to be a classical musician, but somehow it didn't happen. And he really wanted to make his son as a #1 classical musician. My grandfather, he actually took the decision that I will be performing Sarod. And my uncle, youngest uncle, he used to be a Sarod player. He used to learn from Mr. Bahadur Khan.
But weren't you also a mandolin player?
Yeah.
That happened later?
No. That in that point I am coming.
Okay.
So at the age of 4, it was very difficult to hold a Sarod, 4 years old child. And then he started teaching me mandolin. And my grandfather was a very versatile kind of person. He used to play sitar. He was vocal trained, and also he used to play violin. And then he started teaching me classical music in mandolin. So after few years, then Baba took me to Sir Babu Prasad. And he just surrendered to my Ustad, and he just told that,
I have a question here, if you allow me.
Absolutely.
Your right hand. You've always played, your right hand has been very, very flexible. From the first day I've seen you play, Sarod, we used to think, how can you play so fast? Does the mandolin have anything to do with it?
No, actually, the right hand movement, right? You are partially right. The movement of mandolin definitely helped me. But when I started learning from Bahadur Khan, he always used to tell me that, yeah, your right hand is moving, kintu shoroder moto chap hocche na. So he used to.
Because mandolin's right hand is basically a trill. Major
trill, but I used to play like Sarod.
Okay.
Not like
holding
this.
the pick like
not like this, like
Okay.
this.
Yeah, so if you see that this movement
Yeah.
I mean, his mandolin playing was like a sarod. So,
Yeah.
It's a smaller instrument, right? And so, as a kid, as he said, his body was smaller, and if he is able to negotiate that instrument really quick, the brain somehow decodes that this is easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. So when
Yeah.
he then transfers to a sarod, that this is easy is shifted onto the sarod then.
Right. Yeah.
So-
and also technically, I'll tell you that Bahadur Khan Sahib, he also used to have his right hands. Fantastic, the spring movement, which was little different from Khan Sahib.
Mm.
And then he used to show me all the techniques of the right hand movement. And especially, I have shown you that dara 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 during the change of the strings. It shouldn't feel like that I am changing the strings. So that's how actually it started, and Bahadur Khan Sahib took at least 6 months to take the decision, because that time Bahadur Khan Sahib was very famous and he used to be so busy. And he started, and I was so blessed and fortunate to have the great talim from Bahadur Khan Sahib. And very unfortunately, when he started the advanced training, I lost him. He was only 58, 59 years old. So I was really at loss, and then I had been to Ajay Jetu, with Ajay Sinha. But Ajay Sinha also told me that, the best place is to go to Nalipur Khan. And that time, Swapan Chaudhuri really helped me. After 2.5 years, Khan Sahib agreed, and on the day of Guru Purnima, I started in 92.
So at that juncture, should we have a little bit of trivia? So for those who don't know, Pandit Swapan Chaudhuri is my first cousin.
Yeah.
So I'm the third tabla player in the family, professional tabla player. So Swapan Da was known as Bulbul Dada, most of us. Has always been another person who's been very close to. I mean, I'm family of course, but to him as well. And he has been somebody who has been instrumental in many ways to do a lot of good for many people.
Yes, yes.
He's just that kind of person, very, very congenial, somebody very widely liked, and very easy, and somebody who never gets into any kind of controversy and stuff. And he's very smooth that way, and very genuine. I would like to take this opportunity to just say a few words about him, because one never gets the opportunity to talk about him. I normally talk about my father, but he has such memories of my father, and nowadays we talk a lot on the phone, and he tells me all those amazing incidents, So it's I would like to kind of show you that there was a world in which we were submerged, world of great people, and each of them had a very distinctive personality, and they brought something to our lives, all of them individually, and so I think everything eventually comes down to some kind of serendipity, some kind of destiny, and so Swapan Da was playing an important role in his life, by helping him to come to Khan Sahib. For me, I was already there in Khan Sahib's college growing up, and there are so many photos of me sitting on his lap and playing with him. And
In fact, I was there when you first performed with Baba.
Yes, which was 1990. My first big concert was with Nalipur Khan Sahib, and that concert was he played for 5 hours, and 2 hours of me and 3 hours of my father, and he was there. So I mean, it's just like this world where all these amazing things are happening, yet interestingly different from today's world. It all seemed very simple and easy.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like a construct. It didn't seem like agendas. It didn't seem like It was very organic. And I like to use the word analog. It was very analog.
Yeah.
So nowadays, in the world of digitization, there are many advantages, but somehow a digital microphone only takes unidirectional sound.
Right.
But we were getting a lot of the analog reverb and
Right. And the warmth.
Yeah.
The warmth of that analog recording, still we keep those kind of sound
It's
quality.
like
Yeah.
life was metaphorically analog.
Yeah.
We had the rest of it was also
And
analog.
and also you must have noticed that when you listen to all the great musicians of that generations, the simplicity. That day I was talking to him almost every alternate day I keep talking to him. I just sent one recording of Khansa with Shankar, and we were on phone for at least 45 minutes. The genuinity and the simplicity of the total performance, how and their lifestyle, which really we miss. And we are in the juncture of that. We were taught, we used to live this, we have seen that kind of like.
I'll give you an example. There used to be a lot of Mehfils those days. These Mehfils was so important to the lives of musicians that the great Alibar Khan Sahab, the great Ravi Shankar ji, Nikhil Banerjee, anybody, they were all performing in these Mehfils. Today, very few musicians will share a photo playing in a Mehfil because there is the branding involved in their head, Oh, I just played a concert where there are 30 people. They had no such thought. They were playing some of the best concerts. I played with Alaap Khan Sahab in 1990 in a Mehfil. And that was the order of the day. They had no constructs in their head. Eta choto program, uta boro program, eta ami share korte parbo na digital media te, eta te eto lok ache, full house na, eta banner ei brand ei, none of that. They were just having a blast, playing, making music together. Whether there were 5 people, 5,000 people, it didn't matter. They were just playing. And that's what we saw in that little recording that he shared. They were just so happy. Just playing and they're happy.
Yeah, and not only that, আমরা এখনো দেখি যে আমরা কোথাও বাজাতে গেলে we don't get that much of time, right? তো 1 ঘন্টা 15 মিনিটে হ্যাঁ আমরা 1 ঘন্টা 15 মিনিট বাজাচ্ছি, 45 মিনিট বাজাচ্ছি, as a professional I am bound to maintain that. কিন্তু তারপরে we get the request from the audience or their unhappiness that we would like to listen to.
So as a because we have a hangover of that, the two of us, we sometimes play more in the green room than we play in the concert. We do that. I mean, even last time in Shiliguri, we were sitting and suddenly we realized we could play for 1 hour 15 minutes. I'm like, program to show ekhani hoye gel. How many people are listening?
But the thing is, whatever we have performed, we have rehearsed, or what we have practiced, nothing came on the stage.
Something else is happening there. But there is no such idea in our heads. One of our earliest concerts together, so first time we played together was 1984. It's exactly 40 years. So 84 we played in St. Xavier's College. As he said, we played Baba's Gatin, Kirwani, all of that happened there. But just move forward a couple of years, we were playing in your para. Ganguli Bagan, Boria, Bagajuki, and we were playing a concert where we were awake all night. Why? Because see, we are junior artists then, and all the seniors are coming, and we were supposed to play in the beginning. But then all the seniors are coming and they want to go home quickly, so they say, "Hey, I'll play first." So we are sitting around. Our chance came second class. It's already daybreak. So we are now, we're going to play this concert. Waited all night and raring to go. We're going to really rock this brilliant audience here.
Practiced all the intricate highs and
everything has been
dance.
done, and now we are going on stage. Imagine, so we go on stage and we enter stage, and we look at the audience. Just 5 people. 2, your mother, your father, and your grandmother, your mother, your grandfather, and your grandmother, and 2 people from my side. This is the audience. So we obviously felt a bit dejected, but then we started playing and we readied all of this stuff. Aaj to baja bola. And we were playing everything. After a point, we forgotten all of that.
No, when we started, seriousness now they talk
So this is the thing, so in our head also it was okay, we didn't get a huge crowd to listen. We were getting an opportunity and we were practicing. And anyway, we used to practice 2-3 times a week that time, So it was just another.
At either of your places.
Yeah. I mean, your house, I remember when you were living in Ganguli Bagajuti, it was fine. But then when for a little bit of time we all shifted to Shunarpur. It was far, So I would change to buses, an auto and a cycle rickshaw and reach and with two tabla bags. And when I was in the auto, the people in the auto used to hate me because I had 2 big bags, so they couldn't sit properly, you know.
5 people
So it was
all together.
cumbersome, you know. And I would reach 7:30 in the morning, and your grandmother standing and sipping a cup of tea or something in the balcony, and she would look at, "Kiri, তুই এখন?" "হ্যাঁ, এসে গেছি। হ্যাঁ, আজকে মাংস খাবো।"
আর মাংস তো ছিলই, আর পিছনে একটা ছোট্ট জলাপথ ছিল, সেখান থেকে মাছ উঠিয়ে সেই মাছ ভাজা
হচ্ছে, খাওয়া হচ্ছে। So I mean, that was the atmosphere that we also grew up in. You know, we also didn't think so much. You know, we were like, you know, let's make some music, let's practice properly, and बाकी देखा जाएगा जो होगा. It was much later when we came seriously into the profession and realized that we were up against these humongous stars. You know, Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, Ustad Ali Khan, they were in their peak when we started. So we literally had no hope of making it. we used to talk day after day saying, "Hey, কিছু হবে না রে, এটা এত বড়, এদের আমাদের কেন নেবে?" Let's see how time comes again full circle, and by the grace of God, you know, Almighty, today people come to listen to us, and that has also happened. So I mean, it's all out of the cosmos.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 7 crystal balls.
You both were actually pretty much dejected, or you felt dejected, and you were probably not much inspired by many. Maybe it happens, you know. Some people say that you play tabla, you play sarod, और क्या करते हैं आप? या फिर sometimes you feel that হবে না, এটা আমার দ্বারা হবে না. It happens. It comes to your the thoughts come. So how you handle that thing, or sometimes when people said that okay, you're playing the tabla, you're playing the sarod, but not up to the mark, what will you do in future? So that those thoughts come, and those negative energies sometimes affect your psyche. So how did you handle these throughout your life?
Are you speaking for your age group and your generation?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, we were 30 as well.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
later,
yeah.
it's a far distant memory,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
memory of it. But still,
It happened.
You start.
Actually, what happened? The kind of thoughts what this generation starts thinking, we didn't have that much of complex kind of thoughts. Somehow we'll be able to survive. As you know that I have got the chance to be absorbed in All India Radio, and there is beautiful story. We had a concert in UP Sangeet Natak Akademi, Bihar Sangeet Natak Akademi with Shankar Da. There were 2 days workshop and 2 concerts. So just before that, I was supposed to be joining at Patna radio station, and Mr. G.N. Goswami, who happened to be a very
he suddenly had a flash of that whole period.
I remember. So she ভদ্রলোক এসে after the concert, he came and he really appreciated that তুমি ভাগ্যিস চাকরিটা নাওনি, তাহলে তোমাকে আমি এইভাবে পেতাম না। তখন his father was one of the mentors to me, যিনি আমার বাবাকে বলেছিলেন যে এই যেন চাকরি না করে, he should continue with his রিয়াজ, and আমি বলছি এই একটা জায়গায় পৌঁছবে। So your grandfather was very confident. He didn't let me work. In fact, we both had worked as casual professor in Rabindra Bharati for a couple of months.
I was there for a year. I
yeah,
suffered
almost,
more.
yeah. Actually, what happened?
But no offense to the people who are working as professors.
No,
but
definitely.
No,
it's
I
just about-
suffered more because the reason is not Rabindra Bharati. I suffered more because my father was dead against my doing anything that was, in a sense, a job
Yes.
or permanent. So I would get a lot of flack from him. That's why I suffered more. I was like, he was always like, why do you need this security? Why do you need this regular
Exactly.
money?
Exactly.
Because if you want to be a musician, you have to be, your headspace has to be, আজ বিরিয়ানি কালকে ছাতু. This is
Exactly.
Work.
এই কথাটাই আমাকে বলেছিলেন যে
So I used to suffer.
the
every day.
rate
He
has
used
to be পান্তা ভাত to বিরিয়ানি।
রেগুলার বলতো যে কি রে চাকরি কেমন চলছে, So, and it was a taunt. So
and that time we used to get 850 rupees. আর আমাদের একবারে ট্যাক্সি ভাড়া যেত 300-400 টাকা করে। না কিন্তু we joined.
You were paid more, huh? I was paid 400 rupees.
Yeah, but one thing.
How did you manage that?
Huh?
How did you get more money than me?
Yeah, because distance wise,
Oh, really? It's kilometers.
I tried to. Sometimes I tried to make up with the.
Listen, this is what happens because he was a Sarod player, I was a Tabla player. I was getting an accompanist fee, and he was getting the main artist fee.
But
that's what I struggled
you
against.
change this dimension, this definition of accompanist receiving less payment than the main artist way too much in your life. So, you are kind of somebody, a torch bearer to say that, we should get the same payment or if not more.
So my
This is a very
pertinent subject.
Yeah, but it's very important.
No, see, let me just talk a little bit about my struggle to make it first. Now, my father was such a huge name when I started out. We're talking mid-80s, Baba was playing in full form there, and he was a colossal figure. Besides being a great tabla maestro, he was a great teacher. He was doing experimental work like music of drums and etc. Collaborative work, a lot of stuff. So he was a big, figure. He had told me when I decided to be a professional tabla player, he said, "Ami kintu kichu korte parbo." And he will corroborate that because he knew that because I used to hand to him. I used to call him, kichu korbe na bolche. So he did nothing professionally. He said, "I've taught you, and that's my job. I've done that. Now you do it yourself." So my early years were spent simply hearing, "Oh, Shankar Ghosh chile, Baba no to hai." It is a fact because one day my father called me and said, I remember one incident. He was there. We were coming, I think, from Jalpaiguri, and a lot of us were in a train, and we all had dreams. One young guy, he suddenly came up and came to me and said, "Apni Bickram Ghosh na?" I said, and they all was smiling. Bickram now, I said, these people are recognizing him. Then the guy says, "Acha, apnake proshno kora ache. I'll ask you a question." I said, I thought he'd say, how many hours you practice something, Yeah, apnar Baba, wo to apnar chati ta ken hoyni bole to. How can you not play the chati like your father? And these guys were laughing because now they're reassured. Now hoyni. So they're happy, But this I heard. And then one day my father called me and he said, "You're doing it wrong." I said, "Why?" He said, "You are playing what I play. You are playing what I play the way I play it. And because of this, you're not being accepted. Because people are used to hearing me play it. And those things are my forte. If you are entering that space, you can't play it like me. And they're used to listening to me. So change your moodus. Play differently. Don't play the typical vanis that I play. Find your own vanis."
So coming to your earlier question, when I started playing, this is something which is very unavoidable. If you learn from a very stalwart, kind of the musician who has got that kind of order, so one has to follow that. So when I started playing, when I was learning from Bahadur Khan Sahab, initially it really sounded like Ustadji. But Ustadji has told me that I am giving you the colors, but you have to construct your own picture. And after a long time, I started changing. And when I had been to Alaap Khan Sahab, he also gave a lot of inputs. And then I started deviating from exactly the style what I used to play 20 years back. I don't know whether it is good or bad, but now at least people can identify that this is Tejendra Narayan. That is very important. And I always keep telling that every successful musician has to have his own identity through his art. Like when he plays now, it is absolutely obvious that this is Bickram Ghosh's style, Bickram Ghosh's sound. And also, I keep telling you that you also sound like me. That is very common thing. But you have to create something where people will be listening to you, not the kind of music what I play. All the students, all the musicians of our generations who have made their marks, yeah, they had to have that.
Well, here you can't say this. I can say this. Give the little devil his due. Little devil. He's doing a very good job of kind of imbibing things which are out of his talim repertoire.
That has to be done.
He's doing that, and I can say this because I've heard him many times now, and he's trying and he's doing that and he's achieving that. So hopefully he's going to be not be Tejendra Narayan Majumdar Part 2, but he will, and he's already become Indrayuddh Part 1.
I can surely become Tejaram. Okay, so sometimes I follow both of them.
But it's Tejendra Youth.
No, there has to be Ram, like
No, it happens. Your father is who he is now, And I had a father who he was, and you have to. That is a period of struggle where if you don't imbibe what he does, you'll be criticized.
Absolutely.
If you imbibe and do only that, you'll be criticized. So you are actually surrounded by
very thin rope.
Very thin rope. And I had the same experience, But then, if you're constantly conscious of it and you're working in that direction, there's a beautiful book by Malcolm Gladwell called Tipping Point. In that, he says that there is a point, suddenly it happens. Chaka pode hai. When that happens, like it happened to me, and we've had that discussion many times now, not just with him, but with you as well. Then it just takes off, and then there is no more insecurity that, am I getting my identity with clarity or not? It's going to happen, and it's already happening.
Yeah, but it is really tough because I had to face a lot of this kind of.
So people have actually commented that you sound probably that you sound too much like Ustad Bahadur Khan, then maybe a bit too much like Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, and same with you. So how did you actually cope with this?
No, it takes time. Actually, I started thinking, but it is not the kind of. It has to be very organic process, So whatever I am thinking now, whatever I am practicing now, it is not easy to produce the same thing with that finish on the stage. So it takes time. Definitely it takes time. But one has to keep in mind that whatever you are presenting, the root has to be the real talim, the real materials, what has been established as the gharana talim.
Yeah.
That is very important.
See, for me, it was very conscious. My father had ensured that I went to Pandit Shekhar when I was all of 13 years old. I took the entire talim in Carnatic percussion. But I wasn't applying it. Early days. Baba told me, apply that. Then he also said, don't just play my style, imbibe others, And I realized that there were artists whom I wanted to accompany, who had bias towards certain styles. Like Pandit Ravishankar had played so many years with Ustad Alaap. And so obviously there was a bias towards Punjab. Though he also played with Bickram Ghosh, but bigger chunk with Punjab. I wanted to learn a little bit of that. Then there were artists like Amjad Ali Khan Sahab who had played mostly with Banaras Tabla, though he had played with my father also. But a lot with, Kumar, Sukhvinder Singh Namdhari was my contemporary. I spent a period of time just listening to cassettes. All these people, Punjab, this, that, Banaras, Lucknow, and I started taking and incorporating very consciously. And I thought I had a certain kind of hand. My hand is very different from my father's,
Mm.
structurally speaking. So I have certain advantages, certain disadvantages. I thought my advantages would be needed to be something which was akin to my personality. And in my personality, there was a certain flamboyance. It was there. I thought if I can play something that is flamboyant, and then a little bit of Banaras might actually help, because I had that flair. So I incorporated all of this over a period of 2.5 years or so, 2 to 3 years. Once that concoction happened, it was like magic. And then Baba said, "Yeah, ebar to identity তৈরি হচ্ছে." And people then started saying, একটু ভালো বাজাচ্ছে, আলাদা বাজাচ্ছে, শঙ্করদার কপি নয়. So these things are very important.
This synthesis was very prominent. তুমি যখন যখন তুমি ইনকর্পোরেট করলে তখন কিন্তু একটা অন্যরকম ফ্লেভার স্টার্ট হলো।
Yeah. I remember him telling me also.
And also I would like to mention about one person who really changed my thoughts. তিনি হলেন পণ্ডিত অনিল পাল। আমি ওনার কাছে দীর্ঘদিন গিয়েছি, শিখেছি, এবং he also got a lot of interest to teach me, as I was very much prone to tabla compositions, as I have learned also. But tabla material ke niye, shoot ke niye কিভাবে কাজ করা যায় সেটার জন্য আমার একটা ইন্টারেস্ট ছিল। সো সেটার জন্য আমি ওনার কাছেও খুব কৃতজ্ঞ।
And I think that's a big game changer, not just for him but for us, because with him, most tabla players, of course, tabla players who have their chops, because you can't play with him if you don't have your chops, right? Because he's going to otherwise take you, on a merry-go-round. So, but those who were deeply into Tala and Laya, even as tabla players, they always like to play with him, because he himself has that knowledge of Tala and Laya which is very strong. And we are all grateful to Pandit Anil, because if he had not imbibed that from him, maybe he would have been a different kind of musician, and we couldn't have experimented so much with him. Like, just to give you a simple example, nowadays we see you all also doing this. He and I literally started it, doing the quarters and the 3/4. So you're going 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 ta ti ta ke ta ta. So then he's suddenly doing the dina ta. Okay, so that kind of thing, we were doing for decades, and we started doing that in practice sessions. He was able to do that because he knew the subject. I was able to do that. My father had taught me. So then, when it combined, I think something new came out of it.
Yeah.
We were playing together, and we were both exchanging that, repartee, so to say, laya repartee. That, to continue with the pun, became a party.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you have played this in every concert, because I have seen you, you have evolved so much. Coming back to my earlier question, coming to this thing that you both are very noted composers, very noted music directors. Don't you think that angle has helped so much to your classical repertoire? The editing, the presentation, don't you think that has helped you?
I personally think that has really helped, because as you know that you're Daru. My father was in commercial music, and he taught me in a very earlier teens to me to read the notations, the first side notation reader. So I have performed in lots of recordings that time, and after that I was not allowed by Ustadji and my father to take part in the film recordings, background scores. When I started, I have a great experiences to work with lot of best of the musicians, list of the music directors. And that time, a lot of people started criticizing, এই ছেলেটার হয়ে গেল, বেশ ক্লাসিক্যাল বাজাচ্ছি।
You've performed for Satyajit Ray,
Yeah, everybody, Bickram Ghosh, and especially the great music director like Chaudhuri, and all the directors like Bickram Ghosh, Nobindu Chatterjee, Upalendra Chakraborty, etc. Anyway, so
and Hemant Mukherjee also.
But the thing is that real experience of playing in that particular shots were very much helpful because when I am performing classical, I am getting 45 minutes, 1 hour, but you have to emote in 20 seconds. So the sense
That's a
of
very good
precision,
point. Very good point.
the sense of precision, the editing, you have to capture that particular
Emotion and feel
sentiment on that particular shots.
Yeah.
So that really, and Tarun Majumdar's film also, I have played.
Actually, he's a great candidate for Insta Reels.
Yeah, shots. So it has helped you too, like.
He had a full background of commercial music. I had zero. My father was not particularly happy that I was a huge fan of film music. You know. That happened because of my school. My friends in school were listening to RD, LP, Madan Mohan, all of that, and Hindi film music of that era, you know. And I was very attracted to it. Because if you are discouraged at that age about something, you get attracted to it. So I was really attracted, and I used to.
You were a born rebel. Pretty much, weren't you?
I was a rebel, but I don't know if I was born a rebel. But yes, I remember I used to tell my mother that I want EPs and LPs those days, you know, the playing in short film. And my father would allow it. They would bargain. They would say, okay, result bhalo korle eta debo. So I used to then get maybe a Kurbani or an RD's, you know, Uncle Se Company, that kind of thing. I used to get. So I had a whole collection. Much later, I don't know how I just kind of came into composition, and that first, of course, there was Dreamscape, my album in 2000, 2001. But film, I had no background, and unlike him, I do not even know notation. He knows it like the back of his hand. He's like fully trained that way. I don't know anything, but I think the reason I became successful as a music composer, especially in cinema, two things. One is my milieu in school. I was hanging out with people who were constantly listening to Hindi film music. And secondly was my study of English literature, which helped me to understand script. Because I did a master's in that subject, I was able to grasp script very quickly. And therefore, the journey, once it took off, it really took off. And as you know, there has been about 57 feature films now. And that is the reason that I think I became popular as a music director, that this guy gets the script and works according to script. But this is it's completely luck, you know, that I have this background.
That is also a very important thing you have mentioned, that you need to understand what music does. It can do the underlining of the whole script or the films. So I have learned from Salinda. Sometime
The legendary Chaudhuri.
Salinda, and I used to watch that when he was composing, and he was so much into it. So he used to analyze. He used to tell me why this minor sixth is being used to exactly emote that emotion. So that is also a science. But the problem is you need to actually what is very important. We learn a lot of things, but first of all, we need to know what not to do. And that kind of sense of precision that has come through this mind experience, this journey of composition and
Even practically, there are some concerts we have done, whether you know, extremely unconventional concerts.
yeah.
Finish the concert in 7.5 minutes. I will not go into the details of what that concert is, but we have just gone and done that. 7.5 minutes, precise. Give the whole spiel in that time.
In fact, I still remember one of the recordings of All India Radio. He played with me one story, and it was at least heard for 100 times. And a lot of people just told me that, oh, what a fantastic story with Bickram Ghosh. So that
That
happened.
was actually one of our early successes.
Yeah.
I mean, I
In
remember
fact,
that
you
as-
remember one Subhadra Sangeet recordings which were
Yeah,
done
yeah,
in
yeah.
one. Still now people just keep telling about those recordings.
No adda can be finished without a fantastic food, and you can see the entire ambience over here in one of the finest rooftop restaurateurs in the city, What's Up Cafe. And we will actually come to this lunch which will be presented by What's Up Cafe. Let's taste those.
Well, on the subject of food, I really like to say that I think WhatsApp Cafe was very close to Shakespeare, and they were buddies.
Yeah.
And Shakespeare said, "If music be the food of love, play on." And I like to turn that around and say, if food be the music of love, eat on.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow. We had some amazing lunch, and every of those items tasted wonderful. I'll come to something very pertinent to our generation of not only musicians but someone who is learning or practicing in the creative arts space. That you both are fabulous examples of how much important it is to learn the trade properly, master the game, and then the other aspects of the professional thing comes to play. So how have you realized it that content is the king, like content in terms of your music in your cases, how efficient you are as, or how skilled you are as performers, and that is your main asset. And that is why you are ruling the game. And what exact messages would you like to give to the younger generation?
You may not have content, you may not have practiced, you may not have learned, yet you can be successful. The only difference between those who have content and those who have practiced, and all of that comes with that headspace, is that if you have content, you have longevity. Your career is longer. You are relevant literally all your life. Because you will find many artists come and go like flashes in the pan. They also have their moment of fame in the sun. But if they do not have content, I have seen, as a study that I've done over the years, that if there is content, the chances are that you will have a very long career. But if there is a lack of content, lack of practice, lack of learning, then normally you see that the careers are short-lived. So that's the only message I have to give to the younger generation, that if you wish to have a long career, right till the end of your life, a ripe career, then please concentrate on the content, on your talim, and on your practice.
Almost the same. There is no substitute of learning and practice. It's like you just think in terms of making one product. You just try to market, but the quality of that product, if it is not in that level, the sustainability definitely will be hampered. So it's the same thing. And still now at this age, I feel that I am still missing the learning process, the talim. Sometimes when I feel very empty kind of feeling, then I start listening to the talim's recordings. So this is very important, that throughout your journey, you have to have the practice. And physical practice is not only the key word. The practice is mentally, psychosomatically you have to be in music. So it might be 20 hours, it might be 18 hours, even sometimes in your sleep. That should be roaming around here. So this is very important for sustainability. And as long as you grow, definitely this will give you the newer paths to achieve. So this is the only thing I can tell.
That's so inspiring, and that is a wonderful lesson for all of us over here. We are so much used to watching or playing in performances which are pretty much time bound. We know in Indian classical music, we can of course play for 5 minutes, we can play for 15 minutes, we can play for maybe 5 hours. But the meaning or the realization of the music in those time spans can be different. So I have seen so many listeners craving for long duration concerts in which one artist or two artists are presenting ragas in a longer time span, a couple of or 3 ragas in a longer time span to get the entire picture of the raga or his music or their music. We often get to see those concerts which are longer than the usual time span of maybe 1.5 hours or maximum 2 hours. So the longer time span concerts are like probably 3 hours, 4 hour long concerts in which we get to understand the repertoire of the artist and we get to enjoy the artist's entire musicality for a longer time span. So we are happy that this particular concert is being held in Kolkata at GD Birla Sabhagar on the 18th of August, in which Baba and Bickram Kaka will be presenting their music, pure Indian classical music, for maybe 2.5 or 3 hours or something. And the concert is named The Ultimate Duo. Mm-hmm. So please tell us something about that concert, Baba.
Actually, we both have experienced the same kind of feeling that lots of concerts, what you have just mentioned, that we got the chance to play for 45 minutes to 1 hour, 15 minutes max to max 1.5 hours, and still people, they are craving for more. So we just thought that let's get back to the earlier kind of experiences where there used to be some concerts, Pandit Ravi Shankar ji or Khan Sahab, he used to play all night, 5-6 hours. So at least we should be sharing our music throughout the evening. It will start at 6:30, at least 2.5 hours, and if audience want, maybe more. And that's how actually our music, the mystery of our music, we think that could be unfolded properly and to give the real soul of the music throughout the journey.
I have a 10-year-old son. Because he's 10 and my older son is 19. My older son is about 5 feet 9 inches tall. My younger son constantly keeps saying, I want to become 5 feet 9 inches tall. And I keep telling him, it's going to take time. You cannot become your brother's height in a flash. It will take its time. You have to be patient and it will pan out. The catch is, in the era of Insta and Reels, we think everything has a shortcut. While listening to a performance which is short, or playing a performance which is short, is a shortcut which has its impact, because the artists, like us, I told you a little while back that we did a 7.5 minute concert. But if you are to allow the correct emotional response in an audience, then the audience and the artists have to invest not just in quality and content, but in the right amount of time to allow that content to settle, to percolate, and to have its full-blown impact. This is something we're missing nowadays. Indian classical music is an improvised art form. You have to allow the time for the raga and the tal to unfold. When that is allowed, I think the experience is far more deeper. People are more enriched then. And this is something we are losing in our lives, you know. Everything is, let's make this fast. Jaldi karo, jaldi khaye, jaldi khaye. If you eat too fast, you can't digest it properly. So this was the thought that we came from, because we have heard so many concerts of our gurus and our, seniors, 4 hours, 5 hours, even whole night, one artist performing. When you have seen that and you have taken home that energy, you realize that there is great merit in giving a raga and a tal its time to pan out and impact fully the audience. Of course, so many people come and tell us, আজকাল তো শুনতে পাই না একটা ভালো করে লম্বা কনসার্ট এই আপনারা এক ঘন্টা বাজিয়ে ছেড়ে দিলেন.
Even Alaap.
Even Alaap.
Alaap could be a 1 hour.
And even Alaap, why? Even the gut part that we play, sometimes we play the earlier part of the gut where the tabla is not running. Slow delineation of the rag and the tal, that is happening for 45 minutes. That is necessary, because if that happens, magic happens in the audience's bodies also, not just their minds. That is something we want to come back to. We want the style to change. From short concerts, let's have full evening, 2 artists. That's what we're trying to do with this concert on the 18th of August. And this is a one of its kind. I do not remember any concert in recent times where such a length of time 2 artists have sat and are going to perform together in this kind of a format. So yes, we're very excited, and the audience also is looking very good. A lot of phone calls are coming in. We would love to be part of the show. We want to listen. So
And not only that, we also received a lot of invitations for doing the multi-city tour. So there is a possibility.
So we are doing a multi-city tour now, and a couple of cities are already logged in. So we're getting invitations from other places also to do this. So it seems like, look at cinema. There was a time when movies were really becoming short. And suddenly now you have long films, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and people are watching them. So I think somewhere we are slowly realizing that short is always not the best.
Right.
But one thing is very important, that long concert means there shouldn't be any repetition.
Yeah.
That is the responsibilities.
The content aspect of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So,
the content-wise, that is the responsibility of the musicians.
of course. And you have to have the confidence, the ability to carry through those 3 hours, without boring the audience.
How important it is for a tabla player to understand and enjoy the alaap played by the instrumentalist or the vocalist in the concert, because I see many tabla players of our generation, they are not really much interested about the alaap aspect. But do you feel that helps a lot?
I cannot cook my music well without a good marination. The alaap is the marination. For me, if I am not enjoying the alaap, if the artist is not being able to engage me also through the alaap, then the gut, when it comes, I am not fully ready to actually interpret. It is important for the artist to play a fantastic alaap. It is important for me to enjoy the fantastic alaap and be involved in it. And I've had artists, including your father, say that Bickram is one of the few tabla players whose concert begins from the alaap.
Exactly.
So I have always thought that my concert does not begin from the gut. I'm sitting on stage quiet, but I am connecting, and I am creating a circle with the audience, between him, me, and the audience. So if he's playing a beautiful movement in this alaap, and I say, "Aha, kya baat hai," and I take that, and then I look at somebody in the audience and say, "Wow," then that percolates in the audience.
Yeah, and that is also important for the instrumentalist to take that inspiration and the chemistry and the whole energy that starts from that point.
Absolutely. I think the alaap is essential to Indian classical music. And your dad plays a fantastic alaap, huh?
Yeah, I can
Say
recall.
thank you.
And also I'll interrupt.
No,
and
You
you
say thank you to me.
You compliment
Oh,
it
thank
so
you.
well.
Thank you.
You compliment it so well after whenever the Vistar is being played.
And I tell you, when he plays the alaap, I really feel involved in the music, because he really বাংলা একটা কথা বলছে না, ডোবা, ও ডুবে বাজায় আলাপটা, এর ইংরেজিটা খুঁজে পেলাম না, বললাম ওই জন্য বাংলায়। হ্যাঁ, তো দ্যাট ইনভলভমেন্ট দ্যাট হি ব্রিংস টু দ্য টেবল allows me to marinate my music. And then when I come and play the gut, I never start aggressively. I play it with the flow of what he has created. And then our delineation in the early part of the gut can aram se go on for 45 minutes. Slow, nothing fast being played.
Actually, the responsibility of a good tabla player, that is very much important. How he is going to listen to that, and he is interpreting that music through his lyre. I just would like to mention one incident with Zakir Bhai. One time he came and he was not feeling well because he was like, he caught cold and something like that, and he was telling that he was little embarrassed because he was sneezing and all these things. But I just told that whatever the thing, whatever the situation is, you have to sit. And he told me that I don't want to disturb you, but definitely I'll sit there. And nobody could feel that he was with so much of sneezing and fever. And that really inspired me. I still remember I played 50 minutes Alaap in Marwa, and then I played a Bilamit Rupak. What a fantastic culmination, actually. That is the spirit. All the great tabla players, definitely, they start thinking right from that point.
I have to say something very, very important here. It's got nothing to do with feeling. It's got everything to do with chemistry and camaraderie. So if he plays the whole Alaap without ever looking at me, vice versa, if I listen to the whole Alaap without ever looking at him, so I have seen tabla players sitting and doing things on the tabla, looking here, looking at the audience, hello, nice that you have come, that kind of look, The instrumentalists also, some people I've seen who have played without once looking at the tabla player. I think, again, to use the word marinate, that is when the actual marination is happening during the Alaap. If you are not connected, the two of you, how are you going to create chemistry when you start playing together? It's not going to happen.
So coming to your camaraderie, for the last 40 years, we have heard numerous phenomenal concerts, and I'm so blessed to witness your friendship, and it's very rare to see this friendship not only on the stage but off the stage, and which I don't want to spill much beans about that, because I know what goes on your phone calls. Whenever Baba is talking to you, you're talking to Baba. I know the other side of it.
We're two bad boys.
Yeah, very, very bad boys. And you do not ever skip an opportunity to gossip about something which is very important or which you love to. So I would not like to go to the gossip part, but how much have you, or how do you feel that you have evolved in this friendship? Off the stage, yes, but on the stage, because both of your music has changed so much.
There is nothing in life, in any scenario, if there is no fun.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is to have a good time. So if he calls, I'm doing something, I'll finish it off and I'll come and sit in a room and make the space to have that conversation. And vice versa, he's going to do that. It is fun. We're always having a blast, Even in the green room, we're having a blast. And a little bit of gossip, a little bit, something that doesn't harm people. There's no harm in it.
You say it is a little bit?
Well,
but anyway, okay.
I mean, we have to be careful that we don't teach you the wrong things also. Huh?
I've already learned.
And we have some very fun-loving friends, common friends there.
The entire group, which many of us envy, that you have had this camaraderie not only between you two, but among all of your friends. I can name the people who had become
whole bunch of bad
musicians.
boys.
A whole bunch of bad boys. Namely, you can name the people who are so close to all of you.
Mr. Bose.
You can name him in full.
Mr.
Pandit
Tanmay Bose
Bose.
he leads a rack pack of really bad people. He's the quintessential bad boy.
always we, especially this kind of things, sometimes we really miss him. Because always.
I mean, it's always, we always, if we're having a great time, we know that if he's around, then he will throw in another spin and it'll go to the next level. So yes, we always miss him.
So, but thank you so much for engaging and actually enlightening us, to be very formal, enlightening all of us with so much of depth in your conversation about whatever you have learned from your life. But I have to bid both of you farewell from this particular episode of this show, I Am Possible. I know that from your lives, we have both have seen that nothing is impossible. Thank you for coming to I Am Possible.
A big dhati dhage na tu na krdhati tage na dha to you for having us.
Gamadhani sa dha.